G'day Aussie Gridiron fans, welcome to the Week 12 preview show for the G'day Gridiron podcast. The games we want to watch and Monday Night Football preview. We've got plenty to do. Let's go. G'day Isaac. G'day Nick. How you going, boys?
We are really good. Let's go.
Let's go, he says. We are. We've been slightly later to start than we'd planned to do tonight so far. We are without Brad, so it's a little bit of an earlier start for us, but then everything's gone to shit and we've just been talking and we're just like, hey, let's get going. It's been a pretty hectic week. Isaac, we were just talking about the YouTube numbers and the fact that they have gone through the roof, especially for our reaction show. It's just been insane, mate.
It's been really good, and maybe it's the fans that have been putting the reactions in the group that are telling everyone about it, and hopefully we gain some traction.
Well, I hope so. So, jump on over to YouTube and sub there. To just search for Aussie Gridiron Network or G'day Gridiron over there, and make sure you subscribe and then check out some of those videos. Maybe tell us what we can do better with these preview ones, because they haven't been hitting the same, but the reactions ones have been going off. So make sure, I guess we should tell everyone, make sure you're giving us reactions to these weeks and put them in to the NFL Fans Down Under Facebook group or on our Instagram and shit like that, because that way we can react to stuff and just keep it fresh. But yeah, been insane. Nick, how are you, mate?
Good. It's the season's gone far too quickly. It's unfortunately like this, how the season's so short and then we get to the end and then we wait for it and it's such a short time. But enjoying it every week. It's very much a league now where, unlike last year, that there isn't too much separation between, who are the best teams and who are the teams that are still fighting for the playoffs. So there is a lot to play out in the last sort of 7 weeks. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, sure is. I love it when it's all close, even when it's bad teams that are close to good teams, because, I mean, I guess it's that wonderful parody word. But I guess it just makes week to week more exciting. You don't know what's going to happen, so you actually want to watch these games. As an NFL fan as a whole, you just go, I want to watch these games. And when you watch you see a score from a game that's happened during the week, and you're like, what the hell happened there? Like the Dolphins winning last week, and you go, what the hell? So it makes you kind of want to watch the game just to go, what happened there? How did that happen? And what can we learn from it, I guess?
Yeah, I believe it's the best part of the season. Everyone's still kind of in contention for the playoffs. No one's really a bad team and out of it and looking forward to the draft just yet. It's just everyone's trying to be competitive.
I don't know about that. I've seen the Titans play, the Jets play. There's a few teams there. But, all it took for all this to happen, all it took was the Panthers to have a better record than the Kansas City Chiefs. That's all it took now for people to start enjoying, a lot more of these games. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? I mean, it is. I heard an interesting theory during the week. I didn't know if I was going to bring it up or not, if we're going to have the room to bring it up. But interesting theory. It's a fan theory. It's from another podcast out there. I can't even tell you. I saw it on Instagram just this morning. There was a theory out there that essentially that teams should have to win a mandatory 4 games to get their first round pick. So you're kind of trying to eliminate the tanking part, and not deliberately tanking, but it's like let's say you're the Atlanta Falcons, and the season just isn't panning out to what you thought it was going to be. We're 10 games in for them because they're 3-7. So what's the point now in trying for the rest of the season? Because you just go, well, and I know they've got to give you the Rams pick, but they're probably a bad example. But the Commanders at 3-8, what's the point in trying? You may as well just not really try and get that higher pick. But if you've got to win a mandatory 4 games to get your first round pick, then the idea was that it makes them try and be competitive in games to win those games to get over that threshold first.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know if I'd
some
go
teams
that
can't win
far.
4 games.
Maybe I'd say
That's the point. I think that's the point. Some teams can't win 4 games. So it makes them figure out how to win 4 games in the NFL. You should be able to figure out how to win 4 games in the NFL. Somewhere in your schedule. The Giants have figured out how to win 2 already, and we didn't think that was going to happen. I thought they were going to be 0-18.
I'm the same about the Saints.
Maybe you take a page out of the NBA's book. You just thought it as like a lottery.
Jesus. A lottery. A rigged one at that. But anyway, yeah, carry on.
Yeah, we don't want NBA lottery, mate. Everyone in the world knows that NBA lottery is rigged. I can't even speak properly. NBA lottery
it's hard
is
to
rigged.
rig it. It's hard to rig it for teams that no one cares about. The Titans, the Jets, the Browns. Like no one's going to care about that.
You rig it by
Whereas everyone
money,
knew
mate.
that the Spurs were going to get
That's what's
picked 1 for
happened with
Wembley.
the NBA. It's money. It's when they exchange hands. Money exchanges hands. That's how you rig things.
If you want teams to win games, there you go. That's a
Rather than just
otherwise they
being
get to week 6 and that's it.
rather than being historically bad. Because right now there are 10 teams that are below 4 wins in the NFL. 10 out of 32.
Mm-hmm.
So that means the top 10 picks are all taken out if the season finished today.
Isaac doesn't
You
like
could-
this
you could-
idea
you could
because
make
the
the
Rams
playoffs.
wouldn't get a decent pick.
You could make the playoffs
Mm.
and you could be having like a top 10 pick
That's
Yeah,
the Rams,
just for
baby.
making the playoffs just based on that. That's insane.
All right, so we got a few games that we want to watch this week to preview, I guess, and then we got Monday Night Football. We are in a very unique position. Really upset that we didn't have Brad on this week because we are in a unique position where we get to finally preview all 4. Well, we preview all of our own teams in meaningful matchups. I guess I'll put, because we could preview our own teams any week we wanted to, but some weeks it would be an absolute laugh to try and preview one of our teams. We'd be really pulling your leg to say you really wanted to watch a game. But this week, when we have the Vikings against the Packers, we have the Bucs against Isaac's Rams, and then on Monday night, I guess you could call it meaningful, Nick. We got the Panthers and the 49ers. You know,
I mean,
get to,
it is technically because
there's got to be
Panthers, they're hunting down Tampa. They are hunting them down.
Also, you guys need wins, so you need the actual numbers on the board. So it is a meaningful thing, and also the Panthers need a meaning. Like they need the wins. We talked about that in a reaction show the other day, and that's why I'm a bit upset that Brad's not with us because his Cowboys, Brad's last year's Cowboys, are going up against the Rams in a very hotly contested division. But that's a divisional matchup, which is always amazing. So we could talk about that. But we'll be talking about our 3 and another game that we have picked off the schedule. It is a big game. It is a big matchup that deserves to be talked about. So we will be doing that tonight. At least our 3, I guess, or 3 games for Sunday, and then the Monday Night Football match. So I guess we should just get into it, boys.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. How about we go with the Minnesota Vikings at the Green Bay Packers, where the Vikings go to Green Bay down to Lambeau Field to take on the Packers in what will be a big divisional matchup, and always is every single year, and when they come up against each other twice a year. The Packers, Jordan Love and Christian Watson may have saved the Green Bay Packers season on Sunday. Love's 17-yard touchdown pass to Watson provided the go-ahead touchdown to get them a 27-20 victory over the New York Giants. Once again, could have won another game, Giants. The win allowed the Packers to come home at 6-3-1 with the meat of their schedule already done for the year, and a pretty interesting stretch of games coming up at Lambeau Field at home for them, starting off with the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings were less than a minute from getting back to 500 and getting a win over the Chicago Bears. However, that was not to be when a long kickoff return by Devin Duvernay was followed by a game-winning field goal by Cairo Santos to sink the Vikings to 4-6, who will need a win in Lambeau to save their season. That's a very hard thing to do at the best of times, and the Vikings just haven't been playing well so far this season, especially with JJ McCarthy, but it's not all his fault because the O-line has been a stinker, an all-time stinker. Injuries have forced two quarterbacks now to get injured, and then a lot of other gameplay to not really go ahead. Even sunk the running game against the Chicago Bears. Boys, Packers-Vikings is always a massive thing on the schedule for any Vikings or Packers fan, anybody in the NFC North. How are you boys seeing it? Do you want to kick off, Isaac?
Yeah, for this one, I have not been impressed with the Green Bay Packers all season. Like I don't think the Micah Parsons trade got them over the line for what they were hoping to bring him in for. The defense has been good. He has been good, but I thought they bought him in and paying him $49 million a year to get him to push him over the edge, and it hasn't done that. And that's completely on the offense. The Vikings defense is really good, so it's going to be a matchup to watch this week. Yeah, I'd just like to see how the defense goes against Green Bay, because Green Bay, looking at their schedule, have an absolutely horrible run home with the Vikings, the Lions, Bears, Broncos, Bears, Ravens, and Vikings again. So this is one they're going to need to win if they want to stay in contention for the North.
Yeah, and wedged in between those divisional games, they've got to go to Denver still, whose defense is really good with their offense struggling, and a Baltimore team in the second to last week who is going to need a win if they're at least going to be a wild card team at the very least, or they could be playing for a division at that point. Yeah, totally agree. Their offense has been they just haven't found rhythm. Probably since that first game when they did play Detroit. It's been really weird because they're a team that likes to run the ball. They haven't had as much success this year as opposed to maybe like last year with Josh Jacobs. He hasn't quite had the same season. I attribute a little bit of that to some injuries in the interior of their offensive line for the Green Bay Packers, but it shouldn't make that big of a difference. I think LaFleur's style is a bit more. You talk about the sort of the Shanahan tree between Shanahan, McVay, and then you've got LaFleur and then Kevin O'Connell. O'Connell and McVay are the two guys that like to pass a bit more, whereas Shanahan and LaFleur are the guys that like to run the ball a bit more. I just think with Jordan Love, you can see he's a guy that likes to sling it. He can push the ball down the field. They've got, their receivers back now. They should be probably forcing it a little bit more down the field, taking some shots. Like you said earlier, Ian, that's sort of what got them over the line in the end with the Christian Watson touchdown in the end. For Minnesota, yeah, it's just been, what can they be offensively? They obviously haven't been quite the same as last year. I do agree that O-line hasn't been as great, but I think with the Packers team offensively, they don't know sort of what they're doing at the moment. I think it's a big opportunity to be at Brian Flores' game, even in Green Bay. I do know that the weather's going to be rather shit out. So like it was 2 weeks ago when they played Philly. So it's big opportunities. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I don't think it's going to be one where it's going to be a blowout. And if the Vikings have got any sort of pulse with maybe trying to keep up, are Chicago really going to be the team that wins the division? Maybe. But if they win this game, it just keeps them a little bit closer, a little bit in the hunt. Detroit sort of don't know what they're doing. They've got the personnel, but obviously they've had some issues now. Dan Campbell's calling the plays. Are they really the same team? as what they were last year. So, the Packers are on the ropes. So it's a good opportunity. And if it's going to start, it's going to start now. And it could be a statement game for JJ McCarthy as well against a really good defense so far.
The Vikings run home isn't a stellar one. It's not sensational, but for the way this team's been playing, obviously starting off with the Packers this week is a tough lead in to going up against former QB Sam Darnold in Seattle next week. And then the Commanders, the Cowboys, and the Giants, who are three very weird teams to play right now. You don't know who they are, and they're not like they're going to be easy beats despite, say, the Cowboys and the Commanders and all three of them being very low in their divisions and in the NFL standings and the conference standings as well when it comes to the Commanders and the Cowboys. But it's two hard games and then three very weird games in the next five before going up against the Lions and the Packers at the end of the season. Vikings' run from 4-6 isn't great. I'm not overly confident in even getting back to 500 at this stage, it being an 8-9 team essentially, or even a 9-8 team. I can't see it. I would find it tough for the Vikings at the moment to even probably get maybe 2 more wins out of the schedule that we've got on that run home. I don't know where they would come from. I'm trying to figure out if we could even get to 6 wins at this point.
Nick, who do you think wins this game?
I think it's closer than people think. I was almost going to take Minnesota plus 6.5, but in saying that, I do think if it comes down to the end, the Packers may pull something out of the bag.
Yeah, I got the Vikings winning the game outright. As I said before, I don't love the Packers and the Packers offense. It's doing nothing really.
The problem with the Vikings winning this game is we've found it hard to score touchdowns over the last few weeks as well.
So have the Packers.
So take the under.
Packers have too.
So have the Packers.
Take the under.
The under. I think it could be. Nick's right. This could be a big Brian Flores game. It could be a big defensive game. I would take the under at 41.5. I bring home good old Brad's fun police because
that's exactly what I've got.
41.5, I would think you're going to struggle to get to 39, maybe even 36 in this game. Probably even struggle to get to 20 in a total. Because it's going to be cold as shit in Green Bay as well, which makes it horrible. You get any semblance of wind in that outdoor stadium as well. In that cold, the kickers aren't going to have a great day. The punters aren't going to have a great day. So it'll be a tough game. Like I said, the Vikings aren't scoring touchdowns lately. A couple here and there from Addison. Justin Jefferson's been nowhere. Can't get Aaron Jones going on the ground, and we're going to need that ground game to really get off the ground. Pardon that pun. If we're going to actually score even a few points in this game. And I think you're right. The Packers are the same way. And, I mean, we've lost guys. The Packers have lost guys now in ground game, after Josh Jacobs gets injured last week as well. So he's on the injury report. Jordan Love is off the injury report, so he's officially starting. So it's going to be a weird one.
It's a coin flip game, but I think it's going to be a low scoring game.
I think it's going to be low scoring too. I'm curious as what maybe an alternate total might bring, Nick, just to
as
really
in to lower than the 41.5.
Oh yeah, so I'm just having a quick look now. Under. If I believe it is what it will be, like you get one of those old school New England Belichick games where it might be like 9-6, like an absolute grind out. Under 30 would get you under 29.5 would get you $5.30 right now. And if I went with my crazy
pretty
prediction
solid.
of under 20, it's $19. So that's pretty good. I'm going
10-7 game written all over it.
I know, doesn't it? What? It certainly does.
Another one, either team by 7 or less, $2. Not too bad for value.
It's pretty good.
I'm
going Brad's fun police all the way. Let's go. Bring it on. We miss Brad, so we're going to go unders for every single game.
Five police for Brad.
So we miss you, Brad Week, for the betting. We'll just hit the under on everything. All right. So that's Vikings Packers. Do you want? I don't know if the Vikings will win, so I don't know if I can even give you a prediction. I'll give you a couple more stats just to sort of back that up right now. Just some weird ones. Vikings have converted only 31.4% of their third downs, 31st in the league, ahead of only Tennessee. Packers have converted a league-high 49.2 of their third downs. Green Bay averages a league-high 7.2 yards on those third downs, whereas the Vikings average a league-low 3.7 yards per play on third downs. Packers have allowed a league-low 4.4 yards on first and seconds. Vikings average, this is the big one, a league-low 1.23 points per drive on possessions following a kickoff. Do not go for Vikings first points. And the Packers have allowed so far this season 1.6 points per drive at home this season. So it's not looking good for the Vikings in Lambeau, especially with the way we're playing. All right, let's go. Next game. Who are we going to go up with?
Aussie.
It might be pretty obvious, but I am not Matty C.
NFL.
Absolutely stoked to have it on the podcast, mate. Welcome.
Fantasy.
Tay, I think it's time you just abused your mate here.
Would you rather be fighting zombies or aliens?
Find hidden gems.
And with that, we're into some breakouts.
I'm glad you're stalling because my results last week were a hot piece of ass.
We all had our struggles, mate.
We've unzipped the Penix and it's time to put the Penix in the pit. Let's do it.
I'm taking Trey McBride,
I'm just leaning on the old tuck shop, tuck draft.
and all of a sudden he's just lighting them up.
Catch starts of the week.
I'm just going to go ahead and take Goff at Chicago.
So I'm going to go running back. I'm going to take Travis Etienne.
I'm going to go ahead and take your boy Ty
I'm
Tracy.
going to take Adam Thielen.
So I'm going to go and take Richo against Tennessee.
I'll take Matt Stafford.
Just a little float out the Dalton Kincaid.
I'm actually going to take Caleb against the Lions.
Friday and Sunday all season long. The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
Thanks to the Aussie Gridiron Network.
Good to give me the dance floor. I'll probably fucking snap the floorboards.
Why don't we jump straight to your game, Isaac?
Yeah, sweet. All right, so I obviously took the Rams versus Tampa Bay, a battle of the offenses.
Sunday night.
Oh, Sunday night.
Sunday night.
Godwin looks to be back for Tampa, but will he be limited in his return? Will Sean Tucker be as good as he was last week? Geez, wasn't he amazing? But the Rams have a great pass rushing defense, and Ibuka's out there. So will he continue his amazing rookie season? Then on the Rams side of the ball, you got Matthew Stafford, who's an MVP candidate, having arguably his best year of his career. The two-headed monster in Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, they'll give the Bucs secondary nightmares. We're starting to see a touch more sprinkling of Blake Corum in there with Kyron Williams, which is really good to see. He's getting a lot of work at the moment. So I'm interested to see how Tampa's defense is going to try and stop the Rams' offense when they let the Bills score 44 last week. No surprise in this one, but I'm taking the Rams.
Absolutely zero surprise.
Well, just the way we're playing at the moment, and McVay's coaching at the moment is elite. Like I can't see the Bucs defense stopping this offense. What do you guys think?
Tampa ran into the blizzard, as you would call it, quite literally, in Buffalo last week, considering, Josh Allen 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns. So the last couple of weeks have really struggled defensively. I know they've come up against 2 really good quarterbacks in Allen and Drake May, but sort of falling apart for them a little bit with those injuries really taking a toll. Now, Bucky Irving, after all this time, is limited. I don't know if he's actually going to be back. But if he is, they can work him in. They've got Rashad White, Sean Tucker, so they might be able to have a bit of a run game if that could sort of work. Interesting, though, for the Bucs is that now they've actually, after losing those couple of games, they've got, as we spoke about before, Carolina, who's like half a game behind them. I think Carolina's 6-5, and the Bucs are 6-4. So they actually now need to get a bit of a move on. So, look, obviously right now the form team, I agree with what Ian said earlier this week, but the form team at the moment, you have to say, would be the Rams. But I think in terms of a desperation play, like the Bucs are going to keep it close because they need to win this game. If they go down 6-5, Carolina's, pretty close to them. They still got to play each other twice as well. So it is a really big game. And, for the Bucs, they really need a scalp of beating a really good team. So they haven't beaten anyone sort of really good since probably Seattle earlier in the year in Seattle. So it is a big game. The Rams are obviously in form. They had a massive win last week over Seattle. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting as well for the seeding, because although I do think the Rams are probably the favorite maybe for the 1 seed in the entire conference, like they're not completely out of the woods yet because the Seahawks will come still knocking the next time they play. So very interesting to see this game. I would probably go with the Rams, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucs sort of keep pace because it is a desperate game, and it might just be one of those games where Baker pulls something out of the hat.
Yeah, Rams 100% best team in football for me right now. I don't even know how you can really pick against them in any game or any matchup that they're going to be coming up against. They are playing sensational football. I think I pointed out to you, Isaac, the other day that I feel like they're playing better this year and more complete than they did in the Super Bowl year. So it seems to be a much better team, better to go down the stretch with, just more galvanized, more future-proof. And I love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I love what they do. I was really disappointed that the way that last week's game ended with the Bills, because it felt like the Bucs couldn't find themselves in the fourth quarter. When they got the ball, I really expected them to there to be some Baker magic and the Bucs just to do that gritty thing that they do where they just hit chunk play after chunk play until they get down and they score a touchdown on you and they come back. And, there was a chance there that they could have scored, and then I think maybe even got a possession again, probably beating the Bucs. They're beating the Bills, but they just went away from themselves in the way that they play, and that was a weird thing for this Tampa Bay team. And I wonder, over the last few weeks, the last few games, it kind of looked like Baker was off his usual game. Like, why is it? He hasn't been doing as much.
I was going to say, do you think their hand was forced because obviously they were in a bit of a shootout last week against the Bills and they couldn't rely as much on sort of going to the ground game?
I don't know whether it was that, because the ground game really hit anyway. Sean Tucker was ridiculous last week with Bucky Irving out. So the ground game kind of hit, but he also came alive in that in the passing game as well, which is, I think, when you're a Tampa Bay running back, that you need to have that skill set as well. You really need to have that. I'm not 100% sure. It just didn't seem like them, Nick, and it was very weird, and it was very hard to try and put my finger on why that happened.
Yeah. Like I said, it almost felt like they fell apart in the end. Like it was just, like they were actually toe-to-toe. It was a little bit like, the Giants were pretty much toe-to-toe with the Packers, and then obviously the score late. It's pretty much similar to, the Bills kept going and going and going in terms of offensively and scoring. But I don't know. The Bucs just at the end they just couldn't get anything to work.
Bucks are two from their last 5, going back to that San Francisco game, when they won 30-19. The interesting thing from that point, Nick, and the thing that has changed, it seemed like it was Baker Mayfield. There's 3 losses after that, to Detroit, to New England, to Buffalo. I don't think it's necessarily the teams that they were playing. There's something about Baker Mayfield. And since that San Francisco game, and somewhere around mid-game, he's had no rushing attempts until last week, where he had another 5. There was 3 weeks in a row there, no rushing attempts, no yards at all. And that's a big part of Baker's game, the scramble. And I just wonder whether he'd been playing hurt for a little while, and they've just been trying to manage it, keep it under wraps a bit. And that was forcing him out of his natural swagger, his natural game, which I think that they need. The Bucs need that identity. They need that Baker identity right now, because he's become their identity.
It's been a tough little stretch though for Tampa. Like you got the Patriots, the Bills, and the Rams 3 weeks in a row. Like that's a hard slog.
Yeah.
And then looking at the rest of their schedule, they come out of it pretty good. They've got the Cardinals, the Saints, the Falcons. So I think they'll probably be looking forward to getting to that Cardinals game next week, where they get a bit of a reprieve. But as you're saying, they may start becoming fatigued. Like Emeka Mbuka, he started the season really well, but a lot of rookies hit that wall in the second half of the season, which is where he might be starting to hit now with the Bills game and the which other game was it? The Patriots game, sorry.
Pat's one, is it?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I think they're just a bit fatigued, and they'll be just hanging for the Cardinals in a couple of weeks' time.
Sean Tucker will be back again this week. Bucky Irving's still not fully practicing, so I suspect he'll still be out for this game as well. So Sean Tucker had a career game last week against the Bills with 3 touchdowns. He's paying $2.95 for an anytime touchdown right now.
Oh, get on it! So
that is some amazing value. I cannot believe with the way Kyron and Devontae have been playing that they are not more even odds. It is nuts that they at 165 and 178. So it's almost.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
And Adams is averaging like a touchdown a game. I think 10 touchdowns for the year. I think he's on at the moment. So yeah, there you go. Literally a touchdown a game.
Yeah, Devontae's found a real spot. His place in the world again. The other interesting stat that I saw was that the Rams have won 6-0 when they score first. So when they get first points of the game, they are 6-0 this season, which is huge, because you can get them right now to be first to score and win the match at just a tiny bit under $2.
So they're 2-2 when they don't
score first and win.
Right. I must say, like, the way McVay is coaching these days, I don't know, there's Andy Reid, but he's got to be close to the top coach in the league.
Do you think a lot of it's attributed to how well Stafford has played this year, or is it more so a McVay thing? Because I think it's been more so, honestly, from looking on the outside, it looks like McVay has always been like an excellent coach. But I think this year, I don't know what they did in that preseason training camp. My conspiracy theory is that back thing was a myth, and that they just decided to rest him because he's an old man. And if that's the case, come out and say it, because it's worked wonders. Because obviously he's been able to find lots of rhythm, and probably is the MVP front runner.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, actually, Nick. Like, just we were talking about Devontae then, he's scoring a touchdown a game. It's just when they get to the goal line, McVay calls the right plays for Adams to be open. He's pretty much like a running back from the 1 yard line. So, and he just seems Like when he come into the league, he seems very frenzied and very hyper. He it seems like he's relaxed a little bit and he's thinking about his calls more and his schemes. And yeah, I just love the way he's coaching at the moment.
49.5 for a total. Nick, Rams are
Over.
favourite at 6.5. I would take the Bucs at plus 6.5 in the over. Because I think it'll be a close game again. I think we get back to Bucs football where it's close, but I think it's a shootout. I think we're into 50-plus point territory easily.
I agree.
I don't know. Outside of the game against us, the Rams defense has been really good. Like they had, obviously, they only played Jacksonville 7 points, New Orleans 10 points. Seattle they were able to force 4 turnovers, even though they were outgained. So I don't know. I'll probably the title is a bit weird because I could see this one as sort of being that sort of lockdown sort of game where the Rams have come off a bit of a emotional division wins that get themselves ahead. The one that I sort of like is I was going to look at the Tampa sort of plus 6.5, but I sort of like the either team by 7 or less as well, which is paying just over $2.
Good value.
I like that. I like the try bet because I worked with it a few times last week and it worked wonders.
It's good value. Real good value. All right, let's move on. Nick, what was the other game we chose for Sunday football, for the game that we definitely want to watch this week?
Massive game in the AFC, none of which our teams reside in. But it is the Indianapolis Colts going to the Kansas City Chiefs. So this will be, I don't know how much of a prediction this is, but I think it's pretty safe to say, I think this is the first year in a very, very long time that the AFC West will not be defended by the Chiefs. I think last week becomes a bridge too far for them now. They've almost got to be perfect. On top of that, the Broncos are going to lose at least 4 games. It can happen, but it's almost near impossible. But obviously not out of the woods because although they may not get that division spot, they're also the 9th seed in the AFC. So creeping up in terms of needing to be fighting for the wildcard spots now because they've been on the worst set of some head-to-head tiebreakers with Jacksonville, who are in a wildcard spot, the Chargers, who they lost to in week 1, and the Bills, who they lost to a few weeks ago, who all occupy 5, 6, and 7 at the moment. Now, some people are saying that mystique that the Chiefs had, down the stretch in games has sort of evaporated from that Super Bowl where, you give Mahomes the ball, 1 possession game, they're going to tie it or they're going to lead it. So last year, interestingly, 11-0 in 1-score games. This year they are 0-5 in 1-score games. So a massive turnaround. There usually is a tendency from year to year, even with the better teams, where that stat, once it goes one way, it can go the other way. You sort of learn a few things, team gets some film on you. And obviously clock management, depending on, who you're coming up against, new opponents, everything like that. In saying that though, the Chiefs have still been in games where they win actually big, which is different to last year. But when they lose, obviously it's very close games, which hasn't changed much from last year. So, on top of that, Mahomes has still been pretty good. Like he's first in total yards per game, second in passing yards per game. And I think he's tied for the top 3 in terms of total touchdowns, which I think he's on 22 for passing and rushing. So, like I said, tying into this, their margin of error has shrunk entirely because of their record, even though that they have been, probably performing better, but just the results haven't gone like they have last season, which is really weird to say. Indy, on the other hand, they're coming off a bye, which is massive coming into this week. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for the Chiefs. They've seen how the Broncos were able to beat them in a massive divisional game. They're also playing for tiebreakers, but even how well they have played, the Jags are 2 games behind them and they've got to play them still in those 2 divisional games. So for them, they're not completely out of the woods yet if they drop this game. Obviously, offensively, they've been insane, but in terms of beating the Chiefs, the way that teams have been able to do it this year is they get pressure on the quarterback. Denver is going at a historic rate of, how well they apply pressure and get sacks and everything. That is not the Colts. So that's going to be a big thing this week, is that Mahomes is probably going to have some time. But Leon Amumo, who was the Bengals sort of DC the last few years, in those matchups, he actually doesn't mind playing Mahomes because he has had his number in a few of those matchups and had Mahomes in some of his worst passer ratings in those matchups in the season that they've played. On top of this, I think the formula for the Colts is simple from here on out, going into the playoffs and everything. You've got Josh Allen, you've got Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson could make the playoffs as well. How can you keep the ball away from them? Well, you've got the best running back in the game currently, Jonathan Taylor. Give him the ball, pound the rock, keep them off the field, take the ball out of Daniel Jones's hands. He's not completely out of pumpkin mode yet. He's sort of showed some signs last few weeks with turning over the ball. So give the ball to Jonathan Taylor, and it can be something where, they find themselves, moving ahead and making the Chiefs play catch up. So how do you guys see this game?
I love this matchup. Totally love this matchup. We talked a little bit ago about the Colts having their first real test in the NFL when they sort of got away from the early season sort of cupcake matches where they were going big time. When we got to the Steelers, we sort of went, that's going to be a massive test for them. They lost that 27-20, and then they get the Falcons. But I find that this is probably the real test for us in terms of the AFC, because this is the script flipping from the previous seasons, as you said, Nick. The Chiefs are usually at the top, and the Colts are the ones at the bottom, and they're the ones sort of hoping to get into playoff contention. This year, we're all asked about, and we're on the other side of that. And we see the Colts and the Chiefs come up against each other, and we finally get to see, are the Colts for real? Because I think if they can beat the Chiefs here, and they beat Patrick Mahomes, and actually actually beat them. I'm not talking about destroy them, but just play really well against them for 4 quarters of football on both sides of the ball, even special teams. So all 3 phases. I think we finally get a sense of who the Indianapolis Colts are going into playoff football and in playoff mode, because as you said, Nick, the Chiefs have to be in playoff mode from now onwards. They have to be nearly perfect. So I think they're going to come out in playoff mode, and we all know the Chiefs in playoff mode are a scary beast. So this is the point where we get to say, come on, Colts, show us that you can handle playoff mode and switch on against the Chiefs right now, because we really don't get to see that from them until much later in the season when we do get to playoffs, or maybe against in that Seattle game. But even that, I don't think will be as big a test as the Chiefs are going to come up against with Spags and Reed in full playoff mode and like headspace, and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and then with speedster Rashee Rice. I think this is the time when we go, come on, Colts, do it. Show us. The ones in us that have believed, that said from the get go that I said, I thought Daniel Jones was going to play really well this season, and we believed. Even I am going, and other people are saying, actually show everybody, show up and do it.
Big game here for Shane Steichen, coming off a bye, as he have said, coming off the bye and facing the Chiefs. What has he got cooking up to get them over the line? That's what I want to know. And what's he going to scheme up to stop Patrick Mahomes? Because Andy Reid's going to go into his bag, and they're going to try a lot of things because their backs are against the wall. And I see this game going one of 2 ways. The Colts are going to win potentially by a field goal, or the Chiefs are going to win by 14 to 21 points.
Yeah, righto.
I will pose this question though: if the Chiefs lose, are they out? Is this officially? Are they out? Can they not even grab the 7 seed?
No, they're done.
They're cooked.
Done.
Yep.
Yeah,
because they've still got Baltimore breathing up their ass. We'll just go have a look at the standings now, but for the conference,
standings wise in the conference, the Chiefs are currently sitting at 9. They got the Ravens behind them. They got the Dolphins, the Bengals,
And
And
the
the
Texans-
Bengals, by the way, with Joe Burrow coming back, he was a full participant in practice today on Tuesday. On Thursday in Australia. So that's early week. He was already a full participant. So that dude is coming back for football. But they've got the Ravens coming in hot.
Yep.
And then the Bengals will do the same. Mate, I don't know if they'll push push into playoff contention, but they could possibly push the Chiefs a bit lower on the ladder than they could be landing. They lose this, they go to 5-6. And I just, it's a hard road back from here.
Yeah.
Yep.
The problem
Like I
have with the Chiefs is that they lose this, they go to 5-6. Let's say they lose this and they go to 5-6. After that, after the next few weeks after that, they've got the Cowboys, the Texans, and the Chargers. Again, 3 very weird teams, just like I said with the Vikings, to come up against anywhere. The Cowboys at home, and then the Cowboys in Dallas, and then the Texans and the Chargers at Arrowhead. They're just hard teams to come up against because you don't know. It's coin flip games before they hit Titans and Broncos, and then Raiders to finish off the season. So you got a 4-game stretch there. You lose against the Colts. That's 1 down. I don't know. You could lose against the Chargers even in a shootout. And the Cowboys defense have been strangely weird, strangely good lately. So, they could have that belief and you could lose that to the Cowboys. And then where are you? Like, you're probably 6-8 by that point. You're not going to go anywhere. The only problem I was getting at that I have with them is that they'll be dumb enough to win more games, and they'll have a chance to be in a very advantageous draft pick situation for the only time in the last decade, I think, since they chose Mahomes. So they'll be dumb enough to win games and push them out of that decent draft pick where they could be up there and really retool themselves massively in a couple of spots, like pick up some quality guys rather than picking up guys at 30 to 32 every year in the first round. That's the only problem.
Both teams, man.
I know.
Both teams need it. Like the Colts don't play another team that's under 500 at the moment. Like
I know the Colts schedule.
Texans,
The Colts schedule after this is crazy.
Texans are going to play twice. Like I said, the Jags are going to play twice, and the Jags have beaten the Colts 5 out of the last 7 times as well. So it's almost like one of those divisional games where, one team's got the upper hand on the other team with the divisional game at Seattle. So they're not out of the woods either. And Jacksonville's, sort of schedule is pretty soft too. Like they've got Arizona this week. They've got to play the Titans twice. They've got to play the Jets. So they are very much live.
Yeah.
Particularly after last week.
Certainly are. Yeah, it's crazy that the Chiefs are still favoured by 3.5 in this game.
I did see that.
And I think it's too much at home. Even at home, I think it's too much considering how the Chiefs have been playing, and the Colts are friggin' 8-2. Like they're one of the best teams in the league right now. 3.5 is too much.
Craziness.
So I'm taking the Colts with the line in.
I would take the Colts plus 3.5 on a handicap. I'd take the Colts money line, to be honest, at 255.
Wow.
Outright. Yeah.
Yeah, just outright.
Right.
And then the total points is at 49.5. Nick, that's too high. I want to go full on Brad Fun Police on this because I think that's silly.
Too high.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. Because if the Colts do win, it's probably going to be a big John Taylor game, so it's probably going to be a lot on the ground. So that is something as well. I look at all the statistics, but I just can't do it. The last how many years, the Chiefs off a game, they're 2 games now where they really needed to win. I don't know. There has to be something still there. I can't go against it. I look at if the Chiefs are going to, I agree somewhat to what, an extent to what Isaac is saying, but I think because of how explosive the Colts offense has been, I'm thinking maybe the Chiefs could win a close one, and that maybe sort of gets them going in future games where they can win games late. So I don't know. Like Chiefs
but we
won
thought
13 points is 220. I don't mind that because the Colts will be able to do like a backdoor sort of cover for it. I don't know.
we thought that earlier in the season when they beat the Lions. We were like, all right, here we go. The Chiefs are back. So they go out and they beat the Raiders and the Commanders, and then they lose to the good teams in the Bills and the Broncos. So I just don't think they're back.
I can't until they're mathematically out. I just can't like properly bet like against this team.
I feel like if the Colts get away from them here early, like if it is a big Jonathan Taylor game, especially early,
it's going to unravel.
Yeah. It'll unravel because they'll try and play hero ball, and that's when the Chiefs stop. When the Chiefs aren't methodical and like really just picking you apart and killing you slowly, and then being able to speed up real quick like that. We've seen them in seasons, where Mahomes will just pick you apart and extend drives and really just make you work for it. It just unravels. Like when they get nervous and it gets, they try and rush and they're not the same team they used to be. And I don't know, Kelsey's running the 40 at probably 18 seconds right now. I reckon I could beat that dude over a 40 right now. I watch him run every week now. Like, what are you doing? He just looks like he's lumbering through into end zones. So it's just...
He's too focused about the errors to up. That's his thing.
Yeah, I know. He's been too much dancing. Different. Yeah, see, he's just gone. He should have been doing more ball work, more speed work, less dancing. Not that there's anything wrong with dancing, but it's an entirely different discipline. You can't. Your muscles are different. I think that they might get away from. I don't think 49.5 is odd. My betting will probably be not display that, but Daniel Jones 2+ touchdowns is at 240. I like it. JT's anytime touchdown is at $1.46. Again, too high. I thought it'd be way more even. And then how about a cheeky little Colts multi with those two lines, and then Tyler Warren 50+ receiving yards, and JT 80+ rushing yards.
Nice.
And that's $7.
All in on the Colts.
$7.25. I don't know. I'm all in on those prop bets for the Colts because I think there's more consistency in their prop bets. There might not be consistency in how they've been playing, but there's consistency in their prop bets. Whereas there's no consistency in the Chiefs one. There's no formula. There's nothing you can lean on. But you can definitely lean on Jonathan Taylor. Righto, cool. Well, that's Sunday games. How about we move to a Monday night football? It is Panthers at 49ers, mate.
It is. And funnily enough, I remember, was it about a month ago, we were joking about the quality and how bad Monday night games were, and how I was bringing up, don't be, too upset with this. You've got the 49ers and Panthers landing here. But here we are, two teams with winning records who need to keep winning. So creates an interesting matchup. One thing I looked at straight away with this, because we've pretty much on our end, finally on offense been able to get everything back together in terms of injury wise, just now defense. So defensively we're still pretty shot, but offensively it's starting to get back. Purdy last week was decent against Arizona, finding Kittle a couple of times. McCaffrey had another big game, so no problems really offensively. It's been a lot better in terms of how Shanahan's trying to get the best out of everything. Like we've had Purdy go out, Max came in, who's been serviceable as well. The Panthers, I don't know, it's one of those teams you can't look at stats because it's so hard to get a hold of. It's like they don't have this one thing that they do exponentially well. Like they run the ball really well, but it's like, what do they do that is getting them these wins? Like they've had some weeks where they've been really good defensively. Then they've had some weeks where they've just been able to run the ball very well. Then last week, Bryce Young throws for over 400 yards. They sent a franchise record, which is insane. Because I think I came across a stat where I think Cam Newton set it in his first 2 games, but then never went back to more than 400 yards, which is pretty insane. And then
Yeah,
Bryce Young was
correct.
able to beat that
Correct.
record
So
last
Bryce Young
week.
got 448 yards, passing Cam Newton's 2011 record of 425.
There you go. There you go. So this week, I don't know how you guys view it from the outside. I mean, the Panthers now, they're a young team, they're up and coming, but they'll be looking at it. They go, the Bucs have got to go to LA. They've got to play the Rams. They're very much the underdogs in that. So if they lose, the door's open. It's a big game for them. Obviously, it's a big game from us. We're chasing tail with trying to stay within a wild card spot. So I don't know how you guys view it, but one thing I can say is I do think this is going to be a shootout because we have no defense, and our offense has finally got back together, which has actually been in quite good rhythm. So I did look at the over and the over under, and I smashed it straight away. I think it was at 48.5. So I think the Panthers will be able to score. Will be able to score. I say this now, the scoreline probably end up being 10-7. But I don't know how you guys view it. It's a weird game to read. It's like two teams, and really, the loser almost seems like it's very hard to secure a top 7 spot.
Yeah, it's simple equations, really. It's simple mathematics this week for both teams. Carolina are 6-5, a game behind the Bucs, who have the tiebreaker over them in their division. So they need a win because the Bucs could lose against the Rams, as we were talking about earlier. So the Panthers need to win there because they might even be able to take out that division in the NFC South. And the 49ers are 7-4 behind Seattle, who are 7-3, and the Rams at 8-2. So a win for the 49ers, simple math, can put them up a massive amount into a spot they really want to be in a division. And as you say, Nick, both teams are actually sort of fighting for that 7th place spot. And it could also look like that both teams, or either team, could push the likes of Seattle or Green Bay out of that playoff point if they get some wins up. The 49ers sit in 7th at the moment, ahead of the Lions, and the Panthers are at 9. In a very tight bundle there between 5 and 9 for those last couple of playoff spots. So it's simple math, really. You've got to win this is must-win territory, really, for either team. Lose this game, and you could be at risk of a season that could go very, very much the wrong way.
Yeah, I think I've said this multiple times this week over a few shows. I think we may look at last week's game for Bryce Young being a turning point for his career. Like that game he had last week was unbelievable. And David Canales is the orchestrator of that, with the way he got his wide receivers open for him to get time to actually hit his wide receivers. So when this comes down to it, I think all the injuries that the 49ers have had stack up on the defense especially is really going to hurt them in this game. I think it's going to catch up with them, unfortunately, because as Nick, both of you guys have said, it's a really big game, really, really big game for both teams. So it's going to be a great game. I can't wait. I hope it is a shootout, like Nick is saying, and the 49ers are only getting better on offense, which helps. And George Kittle has been absolutely phenomenal since he's come back from getting off IR. He's been so good, and Purdy will be much better for the reps that he's got in between last week's game and this one. So here's to hoping for a shootout, but I've taken the Panthers.
Yeah, I hope for a big shootout too, to be honest. I think you're right about the Panthers as well. I think that this has to be a turning point. Whatever you did in the second half of last week's game, whatever that scheme was, both offensively and defensively, rinse and repeat. Just do it.
Yep.
Because it was good football to watch. It was great football on the field, and it was great play, and all the players sort of succeeded at that point everywhere on the park, on both sides. So rinse and repeat. You might actually stand a proper chance against the 49ers. I just love this matchup because by the time we get to Monday night, it's going to be so important for both teams, Nick. I just absolutely love it because let's hypothetical that, well, Seattle are against the Titans. Come on. The Titans are 1-9 at the moment. So Seattle over the Titans, 100%. And then let's say the Rams beat the Bucs on Sunday Night Football. Well, if you're the 49ers, you're going into that game going, we have to win to keep with those two.
Yeah.
And if you're the Panthers, you're going, we have to win to take first place in the division. So it's a perfect
100%.
Monday night setup. Absolutely perfect Monday night setup because no boring game. It has to be a good game from both teams. Like neither team can just let their foot off.
Yeah. Well, I totally agree. Love it. I love it.
Strangely enough, like in saying that with Seattle, like our division record this year is 4-1. Now the last game we will have to host Seattle, so it's probably going to come down to that. But then the week before we've also got Chicago, and that's going to be big as well because they're probably fine for a wild card spot as well. So there's a lot of games where tiebreakers are going to be massive. That's why I'm hoping like Vikings can get up against the Packers. It sort of gives a bit of breathing room. So you're also hoping for a few other results as well. But look, it's going to be interesting. Like I feel like usually the primetime games, we do tend to show up quite well. I'm not sure why. On a Sunday, strangely against like Houston, something like we can't defend, and then we come out and then only against Atlanta, like we pretty much shut them out, and then they've started this weird sort of slide off offensively. So it's been weird. Like there's been sort of results all over the shop, but I think unfortunately consistently because of how many injuries defensively, but we just don't have the cattle now on the back end just to be able to cope in the passing game. But I think it's just going to be a shootout. Like we're going to have to be forced to keep up with Carolina, if the defense can't make stops. So yeah, I'm predicting a shootout. I said that though last time when we were in a primetime game with Atlanta, and it wasn't. So who knows?
I'll just go back to your thing, Ian. Like another hypothetical. Let's just say the Bucs beat the Rams, and Seahawks beat Tennessee, which we all predict. The 49ers can come out and then have an equal record with the Rams and the Seahawks.
I know, we're back to evens like we were 3 weeks ago.
And then you've also got the Panthers who sit there and go, well, the Bucs have won. We need to win to stay in touch. It's just got so many levels, this game. That's why it's so interesting to come into a Monday night game. How good.
Oh, yeah. Because I think this is going to mean eyeballs. It's going to mean actual eyeballs on this game. Lots and lots. More than you would usually get on a Monday night. Can you believe that the 49ers are favoured by 7.5? We're giving the Panthers 7.5. There's good reason that the Carolina Panthers right now are $1.79 versus $2.03 at 7.5. That's a crazy handicap. So I'm smashing that, Nick.
As our good friend Brad would say, sell the car.
He would to bet on Carolina in this.
And because of the way this game is gone and the way these teams have played, Ted McMillan, after last week's showing, is still $2.50 for an anytime touchdown. And this game has to have scores. George Kittle, after the touchdowns that he's gotten in the last couple of weeks, $2.45.
Oh,
what are we doing?
Both of them.
I mean, sports better we're just giving. It's just free money now.
It is.
It's crazy.
That's it. I'm selling the house.
Sell the house. The other reason we really need this game to be good is that next Monday night is Giants versus Pats. Okay? And then we follow that up with Eagles and Chargers, which could be a good game. But then we end up with, in week 15, right before, or not just second week before Christmas, we end up with the Dolphins and Pittsburgh.
Oh,
Oh,
Jesus.
God.
Like
We skipped that.
we Giants Pats, for God's sakes, next week. Coming out of Thanksgiving, all the amazing Thanksgiving games that are on the slate, and we end up with Giants Pats.
Yeah,
Now,
but
can
that
you
one could
imagine
be
if the
good.
Patriots
Jackson
had
Dart
been last
versus
year's?
Drake May. You
It
could
could
make,
be.
you could make it.
Well, that's the
A
interesting
good
storyline.
15 years ago.
But
Exactly.
I'm getting at it now. Like, could you imagine if the Patriots hadn't taken that massive leap forward that they had this year? We would have had
Oh,
Giants versus that Pats team from last year.
Forget it.
It would have been terrible. Yeah, because then we finish out the year pretty strong with 49ers Colts just before Christmas. So and then there's the Rams Falcons game, which is just hilarious to be the last Monday night football game of the year, because we'll fully, the whole narrative around that game will be how high is the Rams pick going to be.
It's currently number 8.
I love that game. But anyway, we need this game to be good, because these other Monday night games are going to be weird. And this is going to be, there's so many levels, as Isaac said, so many levels to make this such a good game. And we really hope it's going to be. So awesome. Well, that's 3 Sunday games, an amazing Monday night football game to preview. What a great week of football to watch. There's so many division games on this week, so whatever you're going to get around, take note. Hit us up with some reactions come Monday Australian time on that. Again, that NFL Fans Down Under Facebook group, or on our socials. We'll probably put that out on Monday on the socials, and then in the group once they unlock that group for posts and commenting and stuff. We might even see if we get to slip it in there before then, but we'll see. So hit us up there. Just look at your reactions. Tell us what fun stuff you've found from this week, because there's going to be heaps, and we're really looking forward to talking about it next week, right before the Thanksgiving games. Hoping to have a guest on for our reaction show on Tuesday. Might be a bit wishy-washy next week. We'll see, because Isaac's on night shifts on Tuesday. I think Brad's going to be with me on Tuesday. Let's just hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers. Hopefully we've got a guest, and we can go through some of those. Then we are going to hopefully, goddamn fingers crossed, put out some previews around all 3 Thanksgiving Day games. That is Packers, Lions, Chiefs, Cowboys, Bengals, Ravens on Thanksgiving, before we have our regular previews for the Sunday games that are left. So, yeah, stick around for all that next week. Like and follow, subscribe everywhere, please. Linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network will get you to all of the links that you need to know about. And until next week, thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you later.